happened, maybe that would have happened anyway.
Hey Walking Dead fans, this is going to be a promo review video for Season 9B. It was shown in The Talking Dead, and we're going to go through it frame by frame and talk about it a little bit. So spoiler alert if you're not caught up to Season 9, the first half of Season 9. Other than that, we're just going to be speculating and maybe touching on the comics just a little bit, but spoiler alert for that stuff. So when the promo opens, we see the group coming back from the cemetery battle. They made it out of the cemetery somehow. Of course, they have Jesus's body, and they also have a captive. If you notice, the person on the horse tied up, that's Lydia. They captured one of the walkers, I'm sure, in the fight at the cemetery. They kicked some ass. They killed a whole bunch, probably all of them except one. And the one that they captured will be Lydia. She's a main character. We'll see her in this promo here in a little bit. She's going to end up being a major character coming up in the last half of Season 9. And then we see like a bird's eye view, a drone shot of the funeral, Jesus' funeral. They're going to bury him there in the cemetery. There's a whole bunch of other graves, and you know, it's hard to tell who these characters are standing around, but it does look like Michonne over there by the cellar doors, and I think maybe are those the doors that lead down into the jail cell area. But many residents are gathered around for the funeral of Jesus. But then we jump back to a shot of them at the cemetery, and we know they get out because, you know, of other shots that we see in the promo. But it's cool. The Whisperers say, "You die now." So I'm sure there's a pretty good battle ensues. But one's left alive, I'm thinking, and that'll be Lydia, the girl that they captured and bring back to Hilltop on the horse that we saw earlier. But it's definitely creepy. I think the Whisperer thing would definitely be creepy, like this shot right here of the Whisperer just kind of standing off in the woods. And, you know, that's just creepy in itself. And I'm sure that's probably what Luke and Alden are looking at here in this shot. We see some other Whisper characters behind them there. And I'm not sure where they are or what they're doing, but looking forward to seeing what most of these shots are. This shot here, it's taken from the comic. Actually, they do watch the communities, the Whisperers do, and try to learn about them. And we get a shot, we'll see here in just a moment, a shot of Daryl walking down towards the gate and the figure standing there at the gate. That's this person right here that you see the back of their head, and that's Alpha.
You're more like us than them. You don't belong with these people.
She's walking up through the walkers, and she's walking up to the gate to meet with Daryl to talk about her daughter Lydia. So you remember the shot beforehand that I was asking even myself what that means? Alden and Luke, I think they get captured. They may get captured and take the place of Dante and, was it Ken in the comics that got captured? And that's when Alpha came to the gates and said, "You have my daughter Lydia, I have two of your guys, let's trade." So I think that's what happens. Alden and Luke gets captured in this scene here. And by the time Alpha gets to the gate and says, "You have my daughter Lydia, I'll trade two of your guys for my daughter," and they make the trade, and that's when Henry will follow Lydia. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So we know they've captured Lydia and put her in a cell, and supposedly in a cell beside Henry. So Henry and Lydia kind of hit it off. And in the comic, of course, it was Carl and Lydia that hit it off. And because they hit it off, and then she is taken and given back to Alpha, Henry has kind of fallen in love with her and chases after her. And that starts the whole Whisperer arc. But in this shot right here, she says, "You're more like us than them. You don't belong to these people." So she's talking to Daryl like, "You're like out there living on the land. You're like us. Not like these guys. You don't fit in. You know, let me go. Join us." Then we get that shot of Daryl walking down to the gate to talk to Alpha. And you see the Whisperers in the back there spread out. They look like walkers, and they're just kind of standing around. That's the creepy aspect of it all. They're just kind of creepy. And it looks like this could possibly be the kingdom. And it looks like the fair is getting underway. That's probably going to be the location of the fair at the kingdom. And people should be arriving and joining the festivities. And maybe that's what this scene is. We got Jerry and this guy kind of exchanging looks, and this guy doesn't look familiar. And looking at this guy here, you'd think at first maybe, is it Beta? Could it be Beta without his mask? But Beta doesn't ever really take his mask off. So, you know, and that doesn't look like Ryan Hurst. But I do think maybe right behind him could be Alpha along with him, maybe even riding the horse, like he's guiding the horse in. So maybe this is the guy that enters the fair with Alpha, and these two actually would be whisperers without their mask to go into the fair unnoticed and check everything out, the people, the fair, the communities. But then we got shots of Carol and the Kingdom people. They're defending themselves against something. We got Jerry's in that shot, just all the people from the Kingdom. And are they back at the Kingdom at this point? That's where Jerry was, so I suspect Carol is back at the Kingdom at this point. But what are they defending themselves against? What threat is coming up to them? It should be whispers probably. Maybe it's riders from another community. Just don't know at this point. But we get a cool shot of the ladies walking towards the camera kind of down the road. In the background, you can see a truck and some other guys, a couple guys, one on one side and maybe a couple on the left side there in the background doing something. It looks like maybe another vehicle could be up ahead. Don't know if they had trouble, and there's some walkers coming behind them, so they had to get off the truck and take care of business. Not really sure what's happening here either, but the scene looks exciting, and Magna looks badass, and Yumiko looks badass, and since the death of Jesus, it seems like Tara will probably be the one that is going to be leading Hilltop in Maggie's absence. Then we get a shot of Rosita walking to the room. Father Gabriel, he's kind of leaned over a chair, looks like he's praying. And, you know, he's got to know at this point, and everybody's got to know at this point, that Negan got out. And that he's the one that was supposed to be looking after Negan. He's the one that went into the cell and left and shut the gate back, the door to the cell, and it didn't shut. And so they pretty much know Father Gabriel is the reason that Negan escaped. So I don't know how maybe he'll have a guilty conscience about it all. Possibly other people will, treat him differently. Rosita, I think she's probably in love with somebody else, so that's going to affect him as well. It's not looking good for Father Gabriel just in an emotional sense and things that, he's going through. But he's been a putz all along. Remember when he didn't shut the gate back at Alexandria?
Can you get that? Yeah.
And that allowed that walker to get in, and, everything just went from there. But, it's Father Gabriel that's messed up several times. He has helped out along the way, but he's messed up a few times as well. Then we get this frame of little ass kicker Judith and Michonne. Are they standing over Carl's grave or Rick's supposedly grave that they never found a body? And what's the occasion? What's going on here? Not really sure. And going back to those cellar doors, like right here, we see Daryl throwing open some doors. I think that's those cellar doors that lead down into the cell area where Henry and Lydia are being kept there at Hilltop. We get a little thing about Sadiq and Michonne talking, and he says, "What good is it if Alexandria stands and Hilltop and the kingdom fall?" And she says, "Because we survived."
It means Alexandria survives.
But then we get a shot of Beta, probably the coolest shot in the promo, and, something that so many fans have been waiting for is the Whispers, and Alpha, which seems so badass, and Beta, which, I haven't got, chills necessarily in anything about The Walking Dead in a long time. Usually it's just I can't believe they wrote that scene that way. I can't believe they wrote that. It's usually not chills, but I have to say the fight between Daryl and Beta, when Beta picked Daryl up and slammed him up against the wall, man, I think I got some chills at that point. It was really cool, and I can't wait to see all of that play out.
Alexandria.
That 1-2 slash from Daryl in the fight is just really badass. Okay, I'm going to skip a few frames and jump to the end where we see Negan. Of course, he's got his jacket back, and he went back to the sanctuary, and he even says, "Home sweet home." Comic readers will probably know some of the things that Negan should be doing and probably trying to do, but Rick's not there anymore. So, they could take Negan a different direction. I hope they do some of the things that happen in the comic. I hope they do some of those things with Negan and the Whispers that happened. So we'll just have to wait and see how the Negan story plays out in the show. But let's jump back a couple of frames where we see Michonne. Michonne is very, very upset, distraught, scared, afraid, surprised. You know, I don't know how many emotions and looks you can say is in that face. It almost looks like, you know, the face she made when Rick died. You know, it almost seems like she's seeing Rick's zombie body. She finally found the body walking around and she's having to kill it or something. You know, it's pretty emotional, whatever she's doing right here. But if we break the scene down just a little bit, if you look in the background, the brick building, it brings us back to maybe the school where the Oceanside people were held up, and that's where their men were killed. That's where the final scene with Cindy killing the Savior and Maggie and Daryl knowing about it, and they walked away. So I don't see Michonne getting so emotional, going, oh my God, I can't believe Oceanside killed the Saviors and you guys just let it go, and being that emotional. So it's really up in the air what Michonne is doing here, but you can tell it's a flashback. This scene, these few frames are definitely a flashback. Her hair is like it was back closer to when Rick was killed. So this is definitely a flashback trying to tell us either why the communities are split apart, why maybe her and Daryl have the X scars on their back, why she doesn't let any outsiders in. Will it explain all of that? And are those things in common with each other? The X scars may have something totally different to do than with why the communities are split up. I think it all kind of has something to do with each other, and it's a common thread, and we'll find out through these flashbacks. Season 9B, mid-season premiere, will come the second month of next year on the 10th. So plenty more videos to come in between then. Definitely stay tuned to the channel, and we'll probably be talking a little bit more about some theories that will arise from this promo here in the near future. Check out the review video coming for episode 9-8 of The Walking Dead. Let me know what you think about the promo and some of the stuff in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more dead stuff.